What actually matters in your 30s and what doesn't? Let's be honest, most of us entered our 30s believing we'd have everything figured out by now. A clear career path, a stable relationship, a growing savings account. Yet, here you are. And maybe something feels off, not wrong, just different. It's not that you're lost. It's that your compass has started pointing somewhere new, and you're only beginning to notice. The things that once made you feel successful now leave you strangely empty. The achievements you once chased now seem like someone else's dream. In your 20s, life feels like a race to prove something. You chase titles, take selfies on vacations you can't afford, and post curated versions of happiness, hoping someone, maybe even you, will believe it. But your 30s? They whisper a different truth. They say, stop performing, start building. Because this decade isn't about checking society's boxes. It's about laying foundations that will hold you for the rest of your life. Here's what no. One tells you, most people waste their 30s chasing illusions, trying to impress others, following paths they never questioned, staying busy to avoid the deeper questions. But here's the shift. Your 30s aren't about doing more. They're about doing what matters more, not to others, to you. It's in this decade that the concept of compound interest takes on a whole new meaning. Not just in finances, but in energy, health, choices, and relationships. Everything you start to build today, quietly, imperfectly, will echo through your 40s, your 50s, and beyond. The truth is, no one cares what car you drive. No one remembers your job title in 5 years, and no one claps for burnout, but your future self. They'll remember. They'll remember if you started saving, even a little. They'll remember if you let go of draining friendships. They'll remember if you chose alignment over approval, and they'll thank you. So if you've ever felt behind, confused, or quietly panicked that you're not where you should be in your 30s, take a breath. You're not late. You're exactly on time to start asking better questions. In the next chapters, we'll break down what truly matters in this decade, from finances and career to relationships, health, time, mindset, and purpose. This isn't about hustle. It's about clarity. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. No fluff, no quotes you've already seen on Instagram. Just the kind of truth you wish someone had told you sooner. Let's get into it. Financial foundations. That actually matter money in your 30s stops being just a number in your bank account. It becomes a reflection of your habits, your fears, and the kind of life you're quietly building. In your 20s, you might have spent freely, convincing yourself that experiences were worth more than savings, that tomorrow could wait. But in your 30s, tomorrow starts knocking louder, not with panic, but with clarity. This is the decade where financial decisions become less about impressing people and more about protecting your future peace. You realize that money doesn't guarantee happiness, but the lack of it certainly guarantees stress. That's why the most powerful shift you can make isn't chasing more, it's choosing better. Better spending, better saving, better awareness. Because the truth is, most financial pain doesn't come from not earning enough. It comes from not knowing where your money goes. You don't need to become an expert in investments or start a side hustle empire overnight. What you need is to become brutally honest about what adds value to your life and what quietly drains it every month. This is the moment to audit your spending, not from a place of guilt, but from a place of intention. That $150 dinner you don't even remember the taste of, that subscription you forgot you had, that closet full of clothes you never wear. These aren't just expenses, they're symptoms of distraction, of avoidance, of emotional spending, and they multiply over time. So what actually matters? First, an emergency fund. Not because you expect disaster, but because life is unpredictable. And having even a few months' worth of expenses saved isn't just financial security. It's emotional freedom. It means you don't have to stay in a job you hate or a relationship that's suffocating just because you're broke. It gives you the power to walk away with dignity. Second, debt awareness, not shame awareness. Debt isn't evil, but ignorance is dangerous. Understand what you owe, why you owe it, and make a plan, even a small plan. Because every dollar paid off isn't just money, it's momentum, and that momentum builds confidence. Third, invest in assets, not appearances. That fancy car, that designer bag, they depreciate the moment you swipe your card. But a stock portfolio, a high-interest savings account, a low-cost index fund, those things grow even while you sleep. Even if it's just $50 a month. Start now. Compound interest doesn't reward the rich, it rewards the consistent. Fourth, learn the difference between income and wealth. Many people look rich and live paycheck to paycheck. Real wealth is invisible. It's the freedom to choose how you spend your time. It's the ability to say no. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you're not trapped by your lifestyle. And here's the part nobody teaches you. Every financial decision you make in your 30s teaches your future self what's normal. If you normalize overspending, you'll carry that into your 40s. If you normalize saving, investing, and saying no to unnecessary things, your life gets lighter with each year. But building financial strength isn't just about numbers, it's about mindset. Stop comparing. The person with the nicer apartment or the fancier vacations might be drowning in credit card debt. What you see online is curated. You're comparing your reality to someone else's highlight reel. That's a losing game. Start asking different questions. Not how can I make more, but how can I need less? Not how can I impress them, but how can I build something that sustains me? Because when your finances are in order, your mind is quieter. You think more clearly. You make decisions from a place of power, not panic. And you start to see money not as a source of identity, but as a tool, a deeply powerful tool to build the kind of life you actually want. So what doesn't matter? Keeping up with trends, defining your worth by your salary, impressing people who wouldn't show up for you in a crisis. These things are noise. You don't need a six-figure income to live well. You need clarity, discipline, and the courage to live beneath your means while building a life of meaning. Your 30s aren't about becoming a millionaire overnight. They're about building a relationship with money that's grounded, conscious, and future-focused. The kind that doesn't crack under pressure. The kind that doesn't chase more to fill a void. The kind that lets you sleep at night. So, open the spreadsheet. Log into your bank account. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Cut what's draining you. Save what you can. Invest what you're ready to let grow. Because your future peace is built in your present choices. And financial freedom? It doesn't begin with wealth, it begins with wisdom. Relationships that strengthen, not drain. If your 20s were about collecting people, your 30s are about filtering them. Not in anger, not in drama, but in peace. You begin to understand that not every connection is meant to last. Some people were chapters, not the whole book. And that's okay. This is the decade where you stop confusing availability with compatibility. Just because someone's always around doesn't mean they deserve a front row seat in your life. Presence isn't the same as support. Words aren't the same as action. And attention isn't the same as respect. What actually matters now is energy. The kind that uplifts you, grounds you, challenges you to grow. The kind that doesn't leave you second-guessing your worth after every conversation. So ask yourself, who leaves you feeling heavier? Who brings peace and who brings chaos? Who roots for you silently and consistently, and who only shows up when it's convenient or when they need something? Here's the truth that becomes crystal clear in your 30s. Not everyone is your people, and you don't need them to be. You start to see the quiet power of boundaries. Not as walls, but as doors you choose to close for your own peace. You know. Longer explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You don't chase approval from people who never clapped when you were winning. And most importantly, you stop shrinking just to be accepted, because being liked by everyone used to feel like a goal. Now it feels like a warning sign. Here's what actually strengthens you. Friendships rooted in truth. Not gossip, not convenience, but truth. The kind where you can show up messy, tired, confused, and still be met with love, not judgment. These friends don't just celebrate your highs. They sit with you in your lows, even if it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, partners who see your healing and don't try to rush it. People who don't want just your highlight. Real, but you're real, the scars, the doubts, the work in progress. They're not intimidated by your past. They're inspired by your growth. Mentors, not necessarily older, but wiser. People who've walked through fire and didn't lose their kindness. People who challenge you to think bigger, deeper, and with more clarity. They don't tell you what to do. They show you what's possible, and most importantly, your relationship with yourself. The way you speak to yourself in the silence, the way you treat your body, the way you forgive yourself for who you used to be. In your 30s, self-respect becomes non-negotiable, because if you don't protect your energy, no one else will. Now here's what no longer serves you: friendships based on history, not harmony. You shared a past, but that doesn't mean you share a future. If every interaction feels like emotional labor, you're not obligated to keep showing up. Love doesn't always mean access. Romantic relationships, where you feel like you're auditioning. If you're constantly trying to prove your worth, it's not love, it's performance. And performing for love is the fastest way to lose yourself. Takers, the ones who drain your time, your attention, your joy, while giving nothing back but excuses. Protecting your peace might look like walking away. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't leaving. It's realizing they were never truly there to begin with. Toxic loyalty. The kind where you stay out of guilt, not love. Out of obligation, not alignment. You're allowed to grow past people. You're allowed to outgrow dynamics that once felt like home, but now feel like a cage and people-pleasing. Because at some point you realize you can't be everything to everyone and still be something to yourself. Relationships in your 30s become sacred spaces. Less quantity, more depth. You don't need a circle, you need a corner. A few solid people who see you, hear you, and walk with you. Not behind you, not ahead of you, but beside you. And when you find those people, honor them. Check in on them. Speak life into them. Celebrate their wins like they're your own. Apologize when you're wrong. Hold space when they need it. Love them, loudly and quietly, in ways they never have to question. Because strong relationships don't just happen. They're built with time, honesty, and intention. And here's something you learn with time. Your peace is worth more than being understood. Your growth is worth more than fitting in. And your energy, it's sacred. So yes, walk away when it's time. Say no when it's necessary. And choose love that nourishes, not love that drains, because in your 30s, the real flex isn't having everyone like you. It's having people in your life who make you better, who remind you of who you are when you forget, who love you in ways that feel like rest. Purpose over pressure. Redefining success in your 30s, in your 20s. Success was loud. It looked like job titles, followers, fast achievements, shiny things you could post about. There was pressure to be impressive, to look like you had it all figured out, even if deep down you were just surviving. But in your 30s, something shifts. You realize that success isn't about what it looks like. It's about what it feels like. It's no longer about how fast you're moving. It's about whether you're moving in the right direction. The world tells you to chase more money, more visibility, more validation. But your soul starts craving something deeper: peace, purpose, presence. You stop asking, what should I be doing, and start asking, what actually matters to me, and that changes everything. Because now success might look quieter. It might look like waking up without dread, like loving how you spend your time, like having space to breathe, to create, to be fully present with the people you love. It might look like setting boundaries that once terrified you, or choosing a slower life in a world obsessed with hustle, or saying no to bigger opportunities because they don't align with who you're becoming. Here's what no one tells you. Success in your 30s isn't about proving you've arrived. It's about honoring your pace. It's about choosing substance over appearance, meaning over noise, depth over speed. You begin to value peace over performance, clarity over chaos. Your version of making it might not impress everyone. And that's okay, because finally, you're not building a life to be admired. You're building a life that's actually yours. You stop chasing timelines that were never yours to begin with. Married by 30, house by 32, CEO by 35. All those checklists, you start to realize they were someone else's dreams. And you're allowed to rewrite the script. You start to understand that rushing success leads to shallow victories, and real purpose takes time. Time to discover, time to build, time to fail, learn, and come back stronger. So now, you choose intention. Over-urgency. You focus on what actually fuels you. Maybe you change careers, or walk away from something stable to chase something meaningful. It might not make sense to others, but it doesn't need to. You begin to trade pressure for purpose, and here's where it gets powerful. When you're aligned with your purpose, you no longer need constant external motivation. You're pulled by something deeper. You're no longer chasing to impress. You're moving to express, not driven by fear of being behind, but by the desire to move with truth. You measure progress differently. Less by how much money you made this month, more by how you felt waking up. Less by titles, more by impact. Less by how you compare, more by how you've grown. And when failure comes, and it will, you stop seeing it as a verdict on your worth. You start seeing it as refinement. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this shaping in me? Because when you're driven by pressure, failure crushes you. But when you're driven by purpose, failure builds you. And that's the shift. You're not building a brand, you're building a life. So here's what matters in your 30s. Work that aligns with your values, not just your resume. Daily habits that support your future self, not just your current comfort. Goals that light a fire in your chest, not just look good on paper. Relationships that mirror your growth, not your old. Patterns and a life that you don't need a vacation from. Success becomes internal, it becomes quiet, but it becomes real. You stop performing and start living. You stop climbing ladders that lead nowhere and start planting roots that grow deep. You understand that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Capacity is not the same as calling, and being busy is not the same as being on purpose. You allow space, you allow rest, you allow joy without guilt. You allow yourself to walk a different path and trust that it's enough. And one day, without realizing it, you look around and think, This feels like success, not because the world clapped, but because you finally stopped performing for it and started showing up for yourself. You're not behind, you're becoming. If you're in your 30s and still feel like you're figuring it all out, you're not behind, you're becoming. Becoming someone who no longer needs to prove their worth through titles, applause, or timelines. Becoming someone who chooses peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, substance over speed. You've outgrown the need to look successful. Now, you want to feel aligned. You want your mornings to feel like possibilities, not battles. Your relationships to feel like mirrors, not performances. Your work to feel like purpose, not punishment, and that's not weakness. That's growth. That's wisdom. Because here's the truth. No one prints on magazine covers. The most powerful transformation is the one no one sees. The late-night reflections, the quiet boundaries you finally honored, the courage it took to walk away from the wrong thing without knowing what's next. That's real success, the kind that doesn't trend, but lasts. So if your life doesn't look like the highlight reels out there, good. That means it's real, messy, sacred, yours. This chapter, it's not about catching up. It's about coming home to yourself, the version of you that no longer chases timelines, the version of you that trusts divine timing, the version that whispers, maybe I'm not late, maybe I'm right on time, because you are, right now in this season, exactly where you need to be to become who you were always meant to be. So take the pressure off, breathe, and keep becoming. You're not running out of time, you're stepping into it. And when you do it on your terms, everything changes. If this resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you're ready to keep building a life that feels like yours, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started.